All right, I think we are live now, guys. I appreciate everyone for joining us again. We've been doing a lot more live streams here, and I plan to keep it up. Today, I've got a couple of members from Patreon. I've got Dustin Baden and Dustin Williams, and I hope that you guys can get to know them a lot better today and also throughout the season, because both of these guys have some things going on I want to share with you. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit more about Patreon. Because Patreon is not just a place where I hold extra content over. It really, I consider it the core community of freelance duck hunting, in that there's times that I have questions and need advice, and I will take that to my patrons over there, especially the members. Like, I know last season, and both Dustins, I don't think either of you guys were around for this, but last season I did a hunt, and I absolutely loved the video, but I felt like the video showed my location a little too much, and I was so scared to post it because you know how we're all so paranoid about our hunting spots.
Yep.
And there were some real key identifiers in this video. And so I posted that video on Patreon and just asked everyone, should I post it? Should I not post it? And so, and I did end up posting it. But Patreon is a place where I kind of confide in people. We talk, we email, we text. So if you have not checked FDH out over at Patreon, please do that, because there's, like I said, lots of other content. But more than that, it's just kind of a side community that I love. I am a waterfowl junkie. And when I get messages on Patreon or Instagram or Facebook, I always interact with people simply because I love talking about duck hunting, and I will talk about it pretty much anytime that I can. So with that being said, we will answer some questions, and I do want to do today a shirt giveaway. I've got an FDH shirt here, and you guys are going to kind of help me pick out who we give this out to. So towards the end of the live stream, we're going to choose one person to give out the FDH t-shirt to. And also, don't forget, there is a super chat menu down there. It's a little $sign. If you want your question answered for 100% certainty, any amount of donation made on the super chat will get your name mentioned, and also it will get your question answered. So moving on now, this is Dustin Baden and Dustin Williams. And Dustin Baden, I'm going to start with you. Can you just kind of tell me, I know a lot more about you than these guys do, but just kind of give me a breakdown of where you grew up and kind of I'm personally really curious about your military background, because I know you just got back from Kuwait, right?
Right.
And I'm curious about that, and then kind of what you have going on this fall. And your channel is Marsh Rat Outdoors, right?
Right.
Okay, just give me a little background.
Grew up in a small town, Louisiana. Been duck hunting since before I could walk, I think. I don't know, since I was real little. But I love duck hunting. I got out of it for a couple of years, and now I'm kind of getting back into it. And now that I'm in Oklahoma, I do a lot of public hunting, which is a lot different than private land hunting. So I like the different aspect of it. And then I also, my military background, I'm just in the Air Force. I've been in the Air Force for 6 years. I'm about to go back to Louisiana because I'm about to come up on the end of that journey. So.
Well, you just got back, right?
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago, yeah. So I've been pretty busy.
Is that a transition coming back like that?
It's a lot different because I'm not used to talking to a lot of people, but I'm glad I got my wife and daughter back.
Yeah, I bet. I bet you are. So tell us about your channel.
My channel, all we're going to be doing is just like kind of the same thing a lot of other people were doing. We're just going to show our hunts and show we have a good time. And then I'm also going to have like cooking as well on my channel. So if you're into like trying to figure out how to cook a duck or how to cook a deer, I'm going to do that stuff in different ways. And I'm also going to cook a lot of Louisiana cuisine. That's going to, so I can teach you how to boil shrimp, crawfish etouffees, that stuff like that.
So I'm a little confused about, because you got Oklahoma and Louisiana background. Can you explain that a little bit? Like, where do you do the bulk of your hunting at?
The bulk now is in Oklahoma because I'm stationed there. But when I come home on leave and Christmas break, I do hunt in Louisiana. But I've always hunted Louisiana and never hunted anywhere else besides that until I moved to Oklahoma.
And I hate to throw out this name, but I'm just curious. Caw Reservoir, do you hunt that much?
I heard about it, but I haven't hunted at all.
How far are you from there?
A few hours, I think, because I'm all the way on the west side of Oklahoma, like right on the Texas border.
So what's the terrain like out there? Because I'm only familiar with more of the plains area of Oklahoma that looks more like Kansas, but I'm told there's like mountains and forests and what it's like. What is it like over there?
By the lake, they got some mountains and stuff, but it's mostly like plains and fields they flood, I think, because there's no really marsh areas besides what they flood.
Okay. And so now, Marshad Outdoors doesn't have a lot of content up, so I did not put a link in the description. But that's one thing that he's definitely going to be kicking out this fall. And as he gets that going, I'm going to have him back on here and share some of his hunts. And also, he's got a wife, and I don't want to step on your toes at all, Dustin. Let's just say she's very beautiful. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Guys, I'm not going to try to step on your toes here, but you sent me a picture of her with the frogs. I'm like, okay, the people on YouTube might like watching her hunt.
Yeah. And she loves hunting more than I do. She kind of got me back into the hunting.
So. Yeah. So you guys that watch me, you know that I love the channel Bob and Nay. It's a guy and a wife and their hunting adventures. It's literally my favorite YouTube channel. And I'm hoping that your guys' channel kind of ends up like that, because one really cool aspect in their channel that it's just really you can't get unless your wife's there is just their interaction. So I'm hoping in your videos that you just get like your natural relationship with your wife play out. It's just so unique.
Right. And that's my goal, is to have like it normal as possible. But you know, when the camera turns on, people act different. So we're gonna have to get used to that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And the more you do it, the more that just goes away. Because I know when I started filming, I've actually been filming for quite a while off of YouTube, years and years and years. So when I started filming, putting the camera on myself was no big deal. But then when I started putting it in my friend's face, they had issues with it. I mean, just being natural. Until once they start doing it, I think at this point they just don't even think about it even being on.
Right.
They just don't even realize it. All right. Anything else you wanna let us know about?
No, that's it. I'm ready for teal season.
Well, I'm super pumped for your videos, and you know, if you need any help at all with any of what you're doing with the videos, even if you want to post them and have me look at them before you. I know that GT Outdoors has actually had me preview some of his. I'm just a junkie for this stuff. I've gotten so much into just the editing stuff too that I love, that I'm a junkie for it. So anything I can do to help you, because I'm super pumped about your channel and where it's going to go.
Appreciate that.
Let's move on to Dustin Williams. Same thing, just kind of give us a background. Where are you at? What's your background? Where do you mostly hunt? Just that kind of, you know, and talk about your photos and your photography life as well, if you could.
I'm actually from just north of where Banall's from, about an hour and a half around Lake Charles, Louisiana. Live in Southeast Texas now. Got into photography about a year ago, about 10 months. And just soaked all the information up I could like a sponge, you know, through YouTube and everything else, just trying to do it. I'm actually in some photography classes at a local camera shop, and just trying to learn as much as I can. I've accidentally taken some good photos last season. Got some things in the works I may be doing with some guys that are affiliated with Mossy Oak and stuff like that, but that's kind of still up in the air. But
now you said that you've got one photo that's being posted, and I wrote that down. Sorry, Izzy's barking. My wife's coming home. But it's being posted in Take a Magazine, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Take a Magazine contacted me. They liked one of my photos I had posted on a Facebook page, a waterfowl photographers page, and he said they really liked that one and wanted it for their magazine for the October issue. So pretty excited about that. It's the first time I've ever had anything published. And through talking to him, we're headed to Kansas for a teal hunt, and I offered to do like a storyline with the photos and accompany it with a small article. And he really liked that idea. So, but no guarantees on that. I hated English class in high school. So,
That is certainly very cool. And you've only been really into photos a lot, what, for about a year?
Yeah, it's been about a year. Last October, I bought my camera. So
Yeah.
it's some things are happening kind of quick, but.
And is it kind of high-end camera, or how good of a camera do you have to get good pictures?
Actually, my camera is a Canon Pro model, but it hasn't been produced since 2009, so the technology's kind of lacking in it. I can take my mom's Rebel Ti, and it's 4 years, 5 years newer, and I get sharper images with it, you know, and it's an entry-level camera. So it just kind of shows you the technology just always evolving and getting better. I'm looking to get a new camera before the start of big duck season, so see how that goes. But it retailed originally for like $5,000. I found one used for $400. You know, so
dang,
yeah, not bad at all. And I put a link to Dustin Williams' photos in the description. Make sure you guys go and take a time to check those out. I spent about probably 15-20 minutes scrolling through those when you sent them to me. And definitely the one that stuck out to me, which I mentioned to you, was the snow goose photo. And the orange feet hanging down is always so picturesque.
Yeah, that was a cool image. He snuck in on us. We were actually in southwest Oklahoma on that hunt. And he kind of snuck in on us. And I just, instead of picking up my gun, I grabbed straight for the camera. And picked it up, and well, with 4 other guys, I figured he'd wound up on the ground. So, but just started snapping away, and I got some really cool photos on that one little scene. So,
I've always wanted to, and we've the last 5 years or so, we've actually gone out during the spring migration back north and just decoyed birds, just for the heck of it. We didn't do it last spring, but we had been doing that. And I've always thought that would be a really fun time to get in to photography, where you're hunting the migration south and then you're taking pictures of the migration north.
Right.
They're so much prettier at that time anyway.
Yeah, they are. And don't get me wrong, like I still shoot my gun, but come January, I've hunted enough and I've gotten to where I'm starting to pick up my camera more later in the season, because it's just, I'd rather have the photos than the birds, you know, because we've already hunted so much by then. So
yeah, I found with my own videoing that a lot of people just absolutely don't want to put the gun down on any passes at all. So normally what you see is a GoPro on a stick, essentially. Yeah. Which can only get you so far as footage. I mean, you're not going to ever be able to see colors on a bird with that format. You can see their bodies a little bit, but so that was never my intent to do it that way. And once I started putting down the gun and taking turns, honestly, I have not missed it one bit. It's almost, when you're videoing the rest of the guys and a flock comes in and you get good footage of it and everyone's dropping birds, it's every bit as fun.
It is.
I mean, it's really good. Now, Dustin Bain, what's your plan as far as the videoing goes? I know you've got, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you've got kind of an action camera and you have like a HD cam as well, right?
Yeah, I don't have my handy cam yet. I went to buy it and they didn't have it in stock. But my plan is to like use my GoPro as like a blind footage of like interaction, and then use the handy cam. I'm gonna set that up on a tripod and just kind of showing the pond where I can get some ducks coming in, and then take both of those and kind of show the interaction with the way the ducks coming in and stuff, like, because I'm not gonna try to do a whole bunch of like action with the handy cam. I feel like I'm not that good of a filmer to get those shots that, you know, Ducks Unlimited or anybody that's professional gets.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna have like a basic. Here's the hunt. Here's what we do.
Will you have the tripod set close enough to you that you're turning it on and off at times, or that's planned?
I'm gonna try, yeah. Or I can swivel it as they come in and then pull away from it if I need to.
Yeah, it's hard to have it in your hand. And I've gotten better at it, but it's taken quite a bit of time to hold it steady, know when to zoom in, and I've got a long way to go. And the limitation of the camera that you have makes a difference too. Right now, I've got a Panasonic. It's about a $600 camera. and the video quality of it for the price is really, really good, but it's not. I mean, the next step up to like a $1,200–1,300 camera is a big step up.
And then sitting what we do, you know, it's marshy and water. You drop that camera, you're out so much money.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah,
that's why I hang mine around my neck, and I keep it inside of a vest. And so it's held tight in the vest, and then I just grab it and pull it out, is what I do. But, I mean, I'm so hard on stuff. My Panasonic broke during our snow goose hunt, and I called Panasonic, and it was like the day that it arrived to them was the last day of my warranty. I mean, one more day.
That's how it always happens, though.
They broke that thing within a year.
I hope that don't happen to me.
I'm just hard on stuff. It's, you know what I mean? You're out there, I'm hunting hard, and I bang around my chest, and I let my dad use it. And other guys, when I let them use it, they let it dangle around their neck, and they don't stuff it. So I'll just see it, like, constantly just, like, hammering on their chest, or the bottom of it was dipped in the water by my dad, you know? Like, I don't know what to do. If I get, like, a $1,500 camera, it's like I may have to just see what insurance is on that, because I'm not rich.
Yeah, and I don't know what insurance covers on cameras if you drop them in the water or something. If you cause it, insurance probably ain't gonna pay for it anyway.
Some do. I think you can go through renters or homeowners, but they won't. And but some companies do cover accidents like that. I don't know what they cost, but I do know there is coverage out there for it.
Might have to look into that.
Yeah, I think if you have one guy filming and his only job is to film and take care of the camera, then it's a lot easier. But like we just hang the camera around. It's like your turn to film, because we'll run 3 or 4 guys on our hunt, and then we just take turns with the camera. And so it's constantly just getting handed back and forth and laid down and.
Yeah, I just want a tripod because I think I can get more if I have a tripod on a solo hunt. Then I think that would work better as far as getting it, and it's be steady. I don't know how good I can work a gun and a camera at the same time.
You got to put the gun down.
I know. I know.
That gets pretty good footage. It's a barrel camera right on the barrel of the gun that looks pretty darn good. So let's go ahead and see if there's any questions to jump into. I know someone's asking about black synthetic guns. GM Outdoors wants to know, or I guess it was Matt Johnson, about black synthetic guns flaring ducks. I've never ever really even thought about my gun flaring ducks.
Yeah, that.
You guys have any thoughts on guns flaring ducks at all?
I've never seen it.
I'll say this though. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, and I have a point to follow up with.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't see any like it stays down and it comes up. Like, I don't see it being a issue as long as it ain't pink or green or something.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I don't know. This would be a great question. I'm curious to ask you guys this about what's your method of hunting, whether it's just sitting on a bucket on the shore, or layout boats, or layout blinds, or what. But I've got a video coming out Monday about the new kayaks that we're purchasing with a layout blind attachment on them. And one of the reasons that we're going to those is that we had been making grass mats. We've been making our own grass mats to cover ourselves with, and we were essentially covered head to toe except from about mid-chest up to the top of our head, and then our arms were exposed, our gun was exposed, and then mid-chest to our head. And just that little bit of a showing was flaring ducks. We couldn't get them in. So we're going to now being completely covered except for this much of our face. So I'm thinking if from my chest to my head with my arms and my gun flares ducks, I don't think that it's so much that a gun that flares ducks. I think it's just the more of your body that gets exposed, the more problem it is. Either guys you want to talk to about concealment and what your thoughts are on getting concealed?
I run a little P-row that I've built with like that bird netting that you put over like around your vegetables or whatever trees. And then I took some camo netting and then the like the grass, the raffia grass, and put it, zip tied it all on that. And I run my Piro like a layout boat. And I'm like you're going to, I'm completely concealed except for the bow of the boat where the dog sits, and I'm trying to figure that part out. But I'm probably going to go to a Four Rivers Marsh Runner.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking at those, or Mo March Fat Boy if I can find one used and cheap. But
Yeah.
I really like the style of those boats. And up in Oklahoma and Kansas, we hunt a lot of the layout boats, and we cover up as much as possible. I use the raffia grass as a background, but then I'll get in there and cut natural vegetation, away from us to, blend it in a little bit better. But yeah, pretty much just our face, maybe the top of my head, my eyes are showing. That's about it. So it's.
So do you have how are you getting your arms and your gun concealed?
So with that netting, I need to build a frame for that Piro because it's not set up like it's a little canoe basically, and so there's no. It's not like the original layout boats that have the top hull, the shell that comes over. So I basically just have PVC supports, and in that netting, I left about a foot or so solid where it's in between me and the dog, and then I just got some scissors and cut straight down, and then basically like a capital I. So I have flats for doors, and that's how I'm basically like a regular layout blind that you use in the field is what I was simulating.
Okay.
So that's how I'm doing it with that. But it seems to work pretty good. I like it because you can get low, and I'm sure Battle knows that, like in Oklahoma, you don't have a lot of tall vegetation over there in the western part.
Yeah.
So you got to get low and blend in.
Yeah, like in Louisiana, I'm used to hunting out of blinds with my wife's family, but I'd go find me a little piece of grass, and I pretty much get on my knees and sit down as low as I can, and I'd make it. But going hunting with her now, I got to do a better job of concealing because we both got to get concealed, not just me finding a little hole. And I can shoot off my knees, and she likes to shoot standing up. So it's very hard to find her a spot that she can either pop up because she don't like shooting on sitting on her butt or anything. So it's harder now, and I'm trying to build something. I just ain't had time. I want to build something I could just roll out, set it up, and then roll it back up, put it back in the boat, and get out of there. Because you can't put a permanent blind on public land. That's what's hard.
Yeah, and always, never shooting off your butt. I can't. There's very few times. Seems like in teal season, I'm shooting stand up all the time, but once the big ducks start coming in, it's like,
yeah.
It doesn't happen. So Dustin Williams, I'm curious about your dog on your boat. Do you conceal your dog?
I get some taller sticks, and what I'll do is I'll kind of stick them in the mud around me if I can, or some taller cattails and try and almost uproot them and basically replant them right there, or just shove it in the cattails where they're over him. And just trying, if it's like sticks and stuff that I'm over there, I'll go get some vegetation to kind of drape it around. But as far as like over the top, no, I'm still trying to work on a little frame that he won't knock off, and that'll be all right for him. But yeah, that's the part I'm still working on. But he's a little bit darker than Izzy, but he's a dead grass Chesapeake, so he blends in pretty well.
Yeah. And that's one thing I love Izzy's color, but man, her compared to my dad's black labs is night and day as far as how hard it is to conceal them. Those black labs just disappear like shadows. A question here from J-Dog's hunting videos about you guys' YouTube channels. And J-Dog, Dustin Baden from has Marsh Rat Outdoors, and he's going to be doing a lot of hunting videos this fall. And he's really going to be developing his channel. And Dustin Williams, who has the spec behind him, he's more going the route of still photography. And I put a link to his channel down below, and you can go check out his as well. But you'll be seeing more of these guys, and as they develop their channels, their photography, definitely we'll be taking a look at what they are. Both these guys are patrons over at Patreon, and so if you want to join us in these types of live streams, head on over there and see what we've got. And I really appreciate you guys taking time in your schedules to come over. I did the last 2 live streams by myself, and it's just really fun to get some fresh guys in here to talk to. I mean, this is like if we were hanging out, the same stuff we'd be talking about, right? It's just other people are watching.
Probably.
Elliot, y'all got any big trips planned?
We've got 2 trips in October out west planned. And then we might, it's variable on the, I don't know what the rain is going to be like. Right now, western part of the state is really hurting for rain. So if they have no water, we may go north up to South Dakota, Nebraska border, which we did 2 years ago. And I've got a couple videos from up there. But we always travel west at least 3 weekends out of the year. Other than that, we'll be hunting our lease. So we'll start out in teal season hunting the lease if there are birds there. If not, we'll head out west. And in October, we'll head out west several weekends. But I hope at some point that I can take bigger trips. But right now with my work and everything, and finances, it's a little bit tough.
Right.
Yeah.
A little bit tough. I know that, Dustin, you said you're going to be coming into Kansas some.
Yeah. We're gonna be
Baden, what about you? Do you have any plans going?
I don't have any big trips planned. I want to plan a goose hunt maybe somewhere in Oklahoma. But I take my leave and I go home and I stay in Oklahoma. So that's basically the only places I'll hunt because I just don't have the time to go anywhere else.
AS Outdoors is asking about chokes and shot size. Let's start with Dustin Baden. Tell me about your chokes and your shot size.
I use a modified choke, and then I just shoot number 4s pretty much all year. That's it.
And what shells do you shoot, and what speed are they?
I shoot Winchesters. I'm not really sure on the speed. Whatever's the lowest price is pretty much what I buy. I ain't like in all like the high dollar shells. I don't think you got to shoot. So I think all the shells are pretty much the same.
What speed did you say they were?
I'm not sure. I think like 1550s, maybe.
Okay, yeah, ours are 15. If you can get up over 1500, you're gonna kill that.
Yeah,
for sure. How about you, Dustin?
I shoot a Pattern Master mid range. I really like it. It's patterned well for me, especially with the heavy metals. I pretty much shoot 3.5-inch number 2s all year.
Yeah.
For teal? You killing teal with those?
No, teal. I'm going 3-inch number 6s.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say you want to eat them, don't you?
Yeah. No, actually, this year's my first year to actually go hunting during teal season. When we make that Kansas trip, because down here you got the gators and mosquitoes on the Gulf Coast, and it wasn't worth it to me. But no, chokes, that's a huge trial and error thing. I mean, you almost have to find somebody that has a choke that you can borrow or buy chokes, and if you don't like it, just resell it. I mean, it's, there's refuge form all over that you can sell chokes, sell them to your buddies, but it's just a trial and error thing.
Do you like your Pattern Master?
I love it.
I just bought an Outlander yesterday, and I was looking at the Pattern Master, but they're so expensive, I don't know which one to get.
Pattern Master doesn't use constriction like your traditional choke tubes. They use those stud rings. So the length of the tube is what depicts how tight the pattern holds downrange.
Okay.
So that's why I like them. I mean, almost they all kind of act the same. Mine doesn't stick out very far, and I like it a lot. I've knocked down some birds. It claims, their disclaimer is lethal out to like 45, 50 yards. I have a couple confirmed kills witnessed last year at about 60.
Okay.
They were crippled, and I knew they weren't going to fall, so we just threw that extra shell at them, and they ended up falling. So, I mean, when we were sky busted, trying to shoot birds 60 yards, but just trying to make sure they didn't leave and die somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
I'm totally ignorant to buying choke tubes. I always use the standard tubes that come. So can either of you guys enlighten me on why I would want to buy a different choke tube other than what my Outlander came with?
I've never bought what didn't come with the gun. This will be the first time I ever try to go other than what comes with the gun.
Okay.
So
I think it's like, your favorite fishing lure. You have confidence in it, so it works.
But what's their selling point? What do they say it's going to do for me to get it? I mean,
Well, Pattern Master with their stud rings, the reason I went with them, they don't, like I said, they don't use constriction. And that stud ring does the same thing that Federal's flight control wad does. Those little tabs that flip out, it stops the wad and it shortens your shot string. So your shot isn't spread out over 20 feet. It's spread out over about 8 feet instead.
Yeah.
So everything's hitting it at once. And then when you have a 20-foot shot string, you may get, it may fly through the first few BBs, but everything else is going to miss. You're just shortening that pattern up.
Okay.
I may have to think about that. This kind of ties into a question. Kenny Ogden says, do I still recommend my Beretta A300? And Baden, you said you just got a Outlander?
Yeah, my brother had one. I loved it, so I went and bought one yesterday.
I'm not sure. I've hunted with 2 years, and I quite honestly have not shot well with it. Now, that's not necessarily the gun's fault, but I track my shooting percentage really, really carefully, and I've got my shooting percentage charted over the last 8 or 9 years. And I can tell you my last 2 years are two of my worst shooting percentage years in the last 9 years. And not only that, but I've had problems with it. When it gets really, really cold, I'll get a little moisture in it and it'll freeze up. I was out goose hunting by myself on the Kansas River, and I didn't put this in the film, but I get all the way out there by myself. I waded the river. I accidentally, I think, got it in the water a little bit. I was all set up, and it was locked, totally locked solid. And so I had to go and start a fire, thaw it out. And my Mossberg 500, I never, ever had that happen. So I don't know why it's more prone to freeze up than different guns. And Dan also has had, in fact, he's about ready to sell his because he's got problems where it won't even cycle properly anymore. And he tried to send it back to Bretta, and he was like 3 days past the limit for the warranty on it. So I love the gun. I love how it shoots. If I shoot in the 30% again this year, I may have to go with something.
Or go practice.
But like I said, obviously I definitely need to practice. There's no doubt about that. Which we just did that at the least the other day. But when I see my historical shooting percent just drop the 2 years that I use it, and I wonder if it's partly because my timing, because I'm not pumping anymore, or if that has something to go into it. I don't know.
Yeah, I waste more shells with the semis because I'll shoot 3 times, and with my pump, I make sure I aim perfect with my pump because I don't want to waste shells. But it's so easy to burn through shells every time with that semi. It's kind of like my wife shoots 3 times no matter what. If she kills the duck on the first shot, she's shooting the other 2 shells every time.
The best thing that I've found to stop me from doing that is I love, like I've said before, I've loved statistics. We've got this stat site coming out hopefully pretty soon. But keeping track of my shooting percentage is so much fun to me, and that'll keep me from shooting that 3rd shot that I always, unless something's wounded. But that's the best thing to stop you from wasting a 3rd shell is start keeping track of your shooting percentage.
Yeah.
I've actually found I've slowed down. Like instead of flock shooting, past few years, I've actually started picking out a single bird and bigger flocks. And a buddy of mine, he says his first shot, we never know where that one goes, but the next 2, they're going to be on target, at least on something. But no, it's just, I mean, you have time. Yeah. It happens fast, and you think it's happening a lot faster than what it is, but you have the time to slow down and make shots count. And I've learned that over mainly the past 2 years. I've just taken my time and pick a single bird out and just stay on him until he drops.
Yep.
Yeah, I've traditionally been a really poor shooter on my first shell. And the first year I used a GoPro on my head a little bit and also on my gun. And what I started noticing looking through the film, that my first shell I was almost always shooting behind the bird. And then I would adjust on my second shot and typically make the kills about 2 or 3. Yeah. But I don't know why that is, but I guess I'm just maybe rushing the shot or something.
Most of the time, I think what I notice is you rush that first shot, and then you take your time. You already got the gun up, so it's easier to find the target on the second shell, in my opinion.
Yeah. And if you're going to shoot doubles, you need to kill the first with the first shell.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So someone, let's see, Virginia Outdoors. Have you ever thought about bringing your sons along just to film? I've got one of my 3 sons I think would be capable of doing it. The problem is, like Dustin and I talked about before, you put a camera in someone else's hands and it's like, you go to edit it and it's like Dan the first year. Oh my goodness. When I put the camera in his hand, it was like everything I looked at was unusable. So I started really harping on him about it. And he got so much better second year. But it's not easy to have a camera in your hand and ducks coming in and stay still. It is not an easy thing.
No.
Especially with these lower end cameras. I'm sure that the more upper end ones, because they sit on your shoulder and they're easier. But these little handhelds, it's hard.
Yep.
Let's see, other questions. I know I saw a couple come through. Favorite waterfowling gun. What guns have you guys used in the past? I know I started with a Browning English stock. BPS is what it was. And I moved to a Mossberg 500 pump, which I shot for about 25 years. And then I moved up to the Beretta Outlander. Tell me about your guys' history with your guns.
Williams can go first.
I think like probably 90% of everybody, I started with an 870. Then retired that one after I hunted brackish marshes down here on the coast. I don't think it had a single piece of bluing left on it. Then it made a great boat paddle for sure.
Yeah.
But then I moved to a Remington 887, sticking with the pump, because I was anti-automatic. I don't need that, Those are for all rich people. But it was a pile of junk that Remington just got that 887 wrong. And all the recalls they had, my serial number never fell into them. Then I got 2 seasons ago, I bought a used secondhand Winchester SX3. And it's been a pretty good gun. I liked it. It's gas operated. Then saved up a little money last year, and I picked up a Franke Intensity, and that thing swings like a dream.
Yeah.
It's light, it's thin. I just love it, especially the 26-inch barrel. Everything else except for the 870 was 28, and that 26-inch barrel just swings, especially coming from a laying down position out of a layout boat or a layout blind. That shorter barrel I think it's helped a lot. I think I've increased my kill percentage just with a shorter barrel. And plus, you think about it, you get them extra chokes in there, a 26-inch barrel, you're back at 27, 28 inches.
Right.
Whereas, you get a 28-inch barrel, you're at almost probably close to 30 inches. So, but yeah, that Franke, I love it. So, but that's about all my waterfowling guns.
I started out with an old 410 when I was little. And then I got 1187 when I was like 12, and that pooped out on me like, I guess 6 years ago. And then I used my dad's old 870 he had. I don't know how old that thing is. And then I just bought the new gun because I don't buy guns. I'll shoot them till they don't work no more. My dad's pretty tight about if it works, don't change it.
Yeah, that's the only reason I went away from the Mossberg is I had 2 Mossberg 500s because Fumbles bought one and he didn't like it, so I traded in my old BPS for it. So as the pieces kind of started going bad, I could just mix and match because those old pumps, I mean, you can break those down to every little piece basically.
Right.
So I was constantly trying to patch them together to find the cleanest piece or the best piece, and finally the problem I was having and the reason I had to go away is I would shoot my first shot. And then when I ejected the shell and tried to pump the next shell in, it was kicking out the second shell about 1 out of every 5 times. So then I wouldn't have any shot on the second one. I'd have to kick the third one in. And that was just happening all the time. And no matter how I put the pieces together, no matter how much I cleaned it, I couldn't get that to stop happening. So I was losing about 1.5 boxes of shells flying out into the water a year. Not to mention every time I just pulled the trigger and didn't had a click, or I'd still be shooting with it.
I think the best gun in the world is the Remington 870. Those things, I pulled it out of water, all kinds of stuff. It's still a great gun.
They're battleships for sure.
Yeah. Especially down here with that water and the salt and all that other junk.
I will say Aiden, Golden Boy, had problems with his 870 and his brothers this past year, which I know those are supposed to be about the most reliable guns, but
Yeah.
it seemed like the problem was, I can't remember what, it was something common where he just had to scrub out some interior piece where there was some kind of buildup or whatever. I'm going to jump to Jason. Conception wants to know about the H12 kayak that we bought and paddling it with the layout blind installed yet. We have not tried paddling those kayaks with the blind installed yet. What he's talking about is we're switching over from traditional layout blinds to the H12 Ascend kayaks. And actually on Monday, I've got a video that shows the blind, it shows the boats. I was really against going to kayaks because my perception of them was they didn't have as much carrying capacity, and how would you make a blind for them? But these Ascend H12s are really cool. The seat comes out of them, and you can buy an attachment blind that just goes right on it with doors. So the whole rig is like $900, which is way cheaper than your traditional layout boat. And plus, they're made out of lighter plastic, so they're really, really light. And I mean, I'm really, really pumped up about them. And we were talking earlier about how as we were having problems with our concealment, and Dustin Williams, you had mentioned using raffia grass. We had been using raffia grass too, but you probably know that when it gets wet, sometimes it just kind of lays flat
and gets heavy.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do on these the blinds, these red ball, I think, or redhead blinds, is they have all those little loops.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put about half of the loops with the raffia, and then when we get out someplace, we're gonna stuff the other loops with just whatever we have there. So we have a lot more of a 3D look to it.
Yeah, that's how I use mine, and it blends in because you hunting from Kansas to Oklahoma to the Gulf Coast. I mean, the vegetation changes a little bit, so I use, like I said, I use the raffia grass as a background, and then fill it. Kind of throw some local vegetation on it to, get it to blend in better.
Yeah, I think that's the key, because we were going 100% just raffia grass mats, and those things get wet and they just turn all brown, and after a while they don't really look like your surroundings.
Yeah.
And then we had from here to our head and our arms and our gun all sticking out, so it wasn't good enough. So. But we have not tried paddling them with the layout blinds on them yet, but the front and the back roll up, and so I don't anticipate having any problems. And also, Zach also had a question about modifications to that kayak. The only modification we've had to make, which you'll see on the video on Monday, is we build with conduit pipe. We build hoods that cover our dogs, so the dogs will sit behind us, and we had to put on a little hood to cover the dog up. But that's the only adjustment. But for $900 to get all that, I mean, all of that with the traditional layout boat, you're talking probably $1,600, $1,700, probably twice the price.
Yeah.
I'm convinced it's the way to go. I really am.
How are you attaching those hoods? I'm about to build some doors, makeshift doors for my P-Row, just to stiffen that blanket. I call it a blanket. Stiffen that blanket up. And I bought, what is it? Like the bimini tops, like on your boats, like the canvas covers or whatever. I bought some hinges like that. That's what I'm going to try and do.
Yeah, that's what we were using as well. Dan actually went. Dan found a different hinge that he think works better, and I saw him install it on. He's got an aquapod. Okay. And get with me after this is over, and I can try to check with Dan on the specifics, because the hinge he was using actually ended up working better.
Okay.
But we were certainly using biminis, and you're on the right track with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zach also asked kind of a touchy subject question. He wants to know why I think we didn't have as very much success last year. And that is something that a lot of people mention. And I have to say that our lack of success the last 2 years has been extremely humbling for both of us, for me and my dad, or probably more for me because he doesn't really give a crap. But, I mean, I don't think that everyone understands this, and Dustin Baden, I don't know if it's something that'll hit you or not. When you're out hunting it's more than just like going out in the park. I mean, when you start videoing every single thing that you're doing in something that you love so much, it's a personal thing. And so when we go out and we have two of the worst seasons that we've had since I can remember, you know, and yet I'm dedicated to broadcasting everything that we do no matter what, you know, and then the perception starts becoming, well, man, those guys, I like their show, but they sure don't do very well, you know. It's a humbling experience because we've always had success. No, I mean, we don't shoot our limit all the time, but I mean, it's never been like this. So I attribute our lack of success to, number one, weather. And the only other thing I can think about it, though, is just bad luck. I mean, really, there was a lot of times last year that we scouted, we had birds figured out where they were, what they were doing, and then the next morning they were just not there. I can probably count 4 or 5 different hunts where that was the case last year. I mean, normally when you scout and birds are using something in the evening, typically, you know, especially water places, we don't field hunt that much, so I can't speak to that. But as far as in a marsh or on a river, they're almost always there the next day. And it just seemed time and time again, we would have birds located and, you know, we wouldn't shoot them. Or guys 300 yards down would be pounding birds and we wouldn't be shooting any. So it's really tough to pick out why exactly we struggled so much the last 2 years, especially last year. But, you know, we're just going to keep doing what we do, and success will come back around. And if it doesn't, I mean, you guys saw we had a blast last year. Last year was one of the worst seasons we had forever, and we had so much fun. I mean, we go out and we just have a good time. So success will come, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't. You know, that's just how it is. It doesn't matter.
The dog's gonna come. You're not gonna go forever and not get up. You're gonna have a good year. You're just gonna have some bad years. And
I'm gonna hold on. You're cutting out just a little bit. All right, try again.
That's part of the game. Is
you're still cutting out. I'm gonna go away from you until your picture's flipping in and out too. And so when it holds solid, I definitely want to hear what you're saying. So hold on to that, and we'll get right back to it. We've been going for about 50 minutes. We'll probably go about another 10. I've got a guy in my mind that I would like to give the shirt to, but I can still certainly be swayed. Now my daughter's on here, Christina Pike. She is an absolute doll, and she's living down in Texas right now with my 2 grandkids, and I'm tempted to give her the shirt because she's so darn cute, but that probably wouldn't be fair. And my son-in-law wants to go hunt with me, so I'm hoping. He's never been out hunting. He's a military guy. They're down at Fort Hood, I believe, in Texas, and so hopefully he'll be on something. Yeah, your connection is still struggling. It's been working perfect this whole time, but these last 5 minutes. All right, Christine, I'll tell you what. I will send you a shirt just because you are ridiculously cute, if you promise to bring my grandbabies to me so that I can see them soon. All right, so we get any last questions now? We got to field some last questions here. Let me go back through these. I don't see anything that jumps out to me. We've been talking a lot about my last video. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I talked about the duck numbers. Someone was talking about the pintail limits, and how many pintails do you guys see right now in Kansas? We can shoot 2 pintail drakes a hunt. Not that I ever get to. I normally shoot a pintail drake or 2 a year. And I think I'm going to do a follow-up video specifically about the pintail because that video got me thinking about, I didn't know why the populations were so low, and I'm going to do a little research on it and maybe do a video on that. But just kind of you guys' pintail experience, how often do you shoot them? How often do you see them? That kind of thing.
We see them quite a bit down here on the coast. Like I said earlier before we were talking, like, you know, second split and later, they're pretty good down here. They're wary. They're wary everywhere. You You know, they're a smart bird. They're hard to decoy, get in. But like I said, I was hunting in Oklahoma last year, and the place was covered up with one, and I shot at one. You know, they're a tough bird, but I guess Kansas freezes up too quick, and they fly over. They seem to be migrating. I scouted in Oklahoma before the open weekend, and there was pintail everywhere. Pintail, widgeon, and gray ducks, or gadwall. And I think they get out a little early, so they bypass y'all by the time the season opens. And like you told me, y'all catch them on the way back up, you know, later in the season.
Yep. If we're going to shoot them, it's either going to be October out west, or it's going to be in January. When you get a hard freeze, and then in fact, the best hunting. Now these are smart birds, but the most birds you're going to see in Kansas is late January, when the ice comes off the marshes. And I mean, they will just be everywhere, and that's when you'll see. If we're going to shoot them with any kind of sprig on them at all, that's what we're going to shoot.
Yeah. I mean, they're fun. They're a trophy bird for everybody, for sure. And I mean, they're in the top 3 up there with mallards and widgeon, I would think. But yeah, I've had one hunt. It was Christmas morning, probably 6, 7, 8 years ago, and that was the only thing that would decoy. You know, it's just one of them days. We shot our limit of those, but yeah, other than that, they're a tough bird.
They are. And Fumbles, Carl Snyder, my dad's on here. He's telling us to tell about our pintail hunt at the bottoms. And I was mentioning it to you before the stream. We had a couple hunts out there where we just saw, I mean, thousands and thousands of pintails. But like you said, they're so hard to decoy, and we just couldn't get them to commit. I'm sure we ended up shooting a couple each. But, I mean, it was just a pintail show.
Yeah.
They're a real finicky duck. I mean, even if you get a flock of them, they just, you know, they'll see the spread, and they're like, eh. So what we'll do is we'll isolate. We've got pintail decoys. And when there's pintails in the area, we'll isolate those off by themselves, our decoys.
Okay.
And hope that helps. And we do get some right down in the spread. But they're tough. They're a tough bird.
They are.
Well, it looks like we lost Dustin from Marsh Rat Outdoors, and again, his channel I'm really, really excited about. If you guys want to check it out, it's Marsh Rat Outdoors. He doesn't have a lot on there now, but I think that him and his wife are going to make some really good videos, and I'm super excited about it. So if you guys want to get ahead of the game and go and subscribe to him, you're welcome to do that. Those videos are going to be coming soon, so be looking for that. And Dustin Williams, like I said, his photos, you can check those out in the description down below, and he's got a lot of really cool videos. I'm sorry, a lot of cool photos. He may be doing videos in the future, but right now he's focusing on the photos. So I'm going to go ahead and announce who I'm going to give the shirt to. And this particular user comes to these live streams so frequently that I just can't ignore it. He's constantly asking questions, constantly at the live streams. So Spec Brook Trout Fisher, I'm going to go ahead and send you a shirt. If you can email me at freelanceduckhunting@gmail.com, I'll get that shirt out to you so I can find out what your size is and everything. But I really appreciate you guys coming. And Dustin, thank you. I really hope that we can get to know each other better. And also, if we do end up out there where you're going to be at opening teal, which is not very likely, but if we do, we'll definitely at least have to meet up and say hey, and for sure share notes about what's going on up there too.
Oh yeah, we'll be we stay in the hotel in the town that's closest to it, so yeah, we'll be out there in the parking lot cooking in the evenings and hopefully cleaning birds. So
yeah, I'm sure you will, because the teal are normally just filthy.
Yeah.
There.
We're gonna scout the refuge that's about an hour east of there. I don't know any highways. I think the town's right off of 35 that's named after the refuge, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so yeah, we're gonna be scouting that area. Hopefully get some birds.
Great. Well, that's it. I do want to say a couple thank yous to Ben Hunting. Thank you so much for coming to all these live streams. AS Outdoors, Highlander of the North, Red Roof Retriever, Jason Conception, AS Outdoors. A lot of these guys I'm seeing show up at a lot of the live streams, and I just want to tell you guys I really appreciate you coming to these. We wouldn't have them if people weren't here showing up, and it just gives us a chance, gives us an excuse to talk about duck hunting. So I'm going to end it there, but you'll definitely be seeing more from us in the future. Video coming out Monday, and then we've got another live stream with Drake, GT, and Double S Outdoors on Wednesday, same time, 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. So feel free to email me, Patreon, Instagram. I'll see you guys later.